Hello folks, let us see Spring ecosystem which contains 5 courses: Spring Boot, REST Web Services, Spring Security, DataJPA, Microservices. Go to the course content. First one, REST Web Service. Right from the JDK 15 installation, in case of Spring Boot applications, we are using JDK 15. It required Eclipse and WinRAR also. Those things I have showed here. Developing a first Spring Boot application. If you have a Spring Boot application, then REST Web Services development will be very easy. All REST Web Services we are developing in the Spring Boot applications only. That is why initially software setup, then Spring Boot setup, then REST Web Services. Return values related to REST Web Service. Different types of return values. Then path variable. Giving a input to the REST Web Service through a path variable. Giving a input to the REST Web Service through request to body. Giving a input to the REST Web Service by using request to param. Detailed information about the get mapping. Image file upload. Different files upload. File upload along with the JSON object. Multiple files with multiple JSON objects. Excel file upload and processing with POI. Text file upload and inserting into the database. Excel file upload and inserting into the database. Response entity with only body and status code. Response entity with body headers and status code. Response entity for the file download. Mail sending from the REST Web Service. Sending a mail. That mail with the HTML body. The mail with attachment. Mail with the programmatic configuration. Configuring every information related to mail in the program itself. Email ID verification. Sending a mail to the customer mailbox, asking them to click verification link. You'll come to know every information related to REST Web Service. Please observe all the information, all the topics, most of the things, real-time usage. Once you know the REST Web Service, then you can do anything in the Java full stack development. In the Java full stack development, REST Web Services are very much required. Then Spring Boot. So here, application development. Spring Boot is a application type. So software setup, Spring Boot first application, second application for getting more practice purpose. Spring Boot auto configuration, development tools, command line arguments, handling exceptions through Spring Boot. Then how to develop a packaging as a jar, packaging as a var. Jar packaging, var packaging, you can find out under Spring Boot. So here mainly application development. In the Spring Boot only, we are developing REST web services. We are also developing DataJPA. We are also developing microservices and security concepts. Come to the Spring microservices. What is the architecture of Spring microservices? What is the setup? REST template. How we can call from one microservice to another microservice by using REST template. Same by using Fain client. While using Fain client, how we can use Chipkin server along with the ribbon, usage of Eureka, and even Joule, Sleuth, microservices containing several other softwares like a Fain, Ribbon, Joule, Eureka, Sleuth, Jipkin. All I showed you how we can use. You can see RabbitMQ and Jipkin. How can we use RabbitMQ and Jipkin? Then Spring microservices with a cloud config server, cloud config client, actuator, bus, histories. All these things practically I showed. You will become an expert in all these topics. Spring microservices is very much required nowadays. In every application, Spring microservices are using. All Spring microservices softwares I have explained very clearly. The next one, DataJPA. DataJPA, it is mainly for interacting with the database by making use of Hibernate. Internally, it is using Hibernate. Even though you don't know anything about Hibernate, you can able to understand every concept of DataJPA. It's mainly to interact with the database. How we can create a record by using save all. Creating a record with save all. Updating a record with a put and a patch. Reading a record. Deleting a record. All these operations I showed through CRUD repository. Create, read, update, delete. What are the different types of generators available? How to achieve unique columns? How to achieve non-unique columns? Where clause with the different booleans like and or. Renaming a table, renaming a column, achieving not null, achieving unique. Where clause with a greater than and less than. Reading a single column, reading multiple columns, separate DTO development, joins through DTO, multiple joins through DTO, then one-to-one unidirectional, please observe, one-to-one bidirectional, in the one-to-one itself achieving maps ID, that is sharing key, then one-to-many unidirectional, one-to-many bidirectional, many-to-many. Many-to-many doesn't have unidirectional, many-to-many only bidirectional. How we can store data in two tables which are related to one-to-one, 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 one-to-many, one-to-many, many-to-many. Practically, I showed in every project, we should know achieving of one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. I clearly specified the detailed information about all these things. DataJPA very much required for the full stack backend developer. You'll come to know everything. All these programs are available for the downloads. You can download and check it out, speeding the development. Then Spring Security. So security is a very important. Spring Security module providing security to our application, both for authentication and authorization. Security setup, achieving authentication through in-memory credentials, in-memory username and password, then same credentials reading from the database, username and password reading from the database, then authorization through roles. Authorization, different patterns. We can choose multiple patterns for authorization. How we can authenticate by using advanced REST to client. Same authentication, checking through Angular. Authorization through Angular. Intercepting filters in the Angular. Guard services in the backend. JWT implementation in the Spring Boot app and calling from the Angular application. JWT stands for JSON Web Token. Nowadays, everybody using JWT, JSON Web Token, for achieving security. All these things you'll come to know practically. You can download the source code. You can play around, speed up your development. It's very simple. If you want to see the demo sessions, go to sign up, login, dashboard. Go to the sign up, then login, go to the dashboard, go to my courses. You can see demo sessions. In the demo sessions, you can see REST web services, return values, path variable, request body. You can see DataJPA, setting up save operations, save all operations, Spring Security, set up in-memory authentication, reading credentials from the database, Spring microservices, architecture setup, REST template. Please observe. Even you can find a Spring Boot. First application, Spring Boot auto configuration, Spring Boot development tools. Spring ecosystem is very important. Everybody should know. Very easily you can understand. Anybody can able to understand. I made every concept very simple. Even very beginner also can able to understand. So see you in the package. Wish you all the very best. Take care. Jai Hind.